Welcome to the Sleep Sense Show. As always, brought to you by the Sleep Sense program, where podcast listeners can get a free customized sleep plan by going to www.sleepsense.net/listen.
Hi, it's Dana. Welcome to the show. Well, if you're like almost every parent around the world, you are navigating life now with children being home and partners being home and everybody being stuck under the same roof. So I get it. I'm right there with you. I've got 3 teenagers that are home and I'm trying to navigate online learning and chores and work and keeping everybody healthy and fed and safe and well. It is a lot. It is a lot. And I think that's the first step in handling any of this is just to acknowledge the fact that this is a lot. And it's okay that some days you feel like just staying in your bed in your pajamas for the entirety of the day. And some days you feel uber productive and you're getting lots done. And some days you feel scared and other days you feel grateful. And I think any emotion you're having right now in any minute of the day is totally okay and normal. And I'm sure we are all having the exact same experience, maybe not at the exact same time, but whatever emotion you've had, I can tell you that I have had it too, and we're all in this boat together. So how do we stay sane? I wanted to share a few tips today just from what I know about kids and also what I know about sleep. Because let's start with the good stuff first. Sleep's going to keep you healthy. It is a proven scientific fact that while we sleep, our body does a heck of a lot of immune system repair. Happens mainly in our deepest stage of our sleep, stage 3 sleep, but our body gets to work fixing that very precious immune system. So we do need to be getting good quality sleep. Our kids need it too. Having that as a foundation is definitely going to work towards keeping everybody in that family well. And if your children are not sleeping well, hey, this might be a great time to pick up a copy of the Sleep Sense program and get this baby sleeping better. Why not? Seems like the perfect time since everybody's stuck at home anyway. And the greater good is that it's going to improve the quality of everyone's sleep in the house and ensure that you're doing the very best you can at keeping all of you, including yourself, healthy. But what else can we do? Well, I know it's tempting. I was just thinking about this the other day when I was a grade 1 teacher. Every now and then we would do this thing called pajama day, and it sounded like a lot of fun, and I kind of got why the kids were so excited about it. Basically, we would just do the whole day in our pajamas. And what I found would happen, especially to me, is that I would just kind of let the day slide. Like I'd be like, oh, well, kind of feeling lazy in my pajamas. Let's just, pop in a movie or go out for an extra recess or let's just, read books today. It kind of was like this excuse to slack off, really. And I've been having a similar experience with this whole thing that, the kids are home and they're sleeping late and I'm sleeping late and not doing my usual morning routine. And, that's okay now and then. But if this is happening day in and day out, I think, at least for me, that it starts to affect my productivity and my mental health. And it will start to affect the quality of our sleep because we're not sticking to our schedules. So that's tip number 1, stick to your schedules. Get up at the same time that you normally get up. Do the same things that you normally did in the morning, apart from getting in your car and driving somewhere. But if you were used to, getting out with the kids and go for a walk or if you were into exercising first thing, still do that. I know the fact is that most children I would say all children do better when there's predictability and routine in their day. So not just for your own sake, but for the sake of these kiddos, try to keep things as close to normal as you possibly can. Keep, their schedule consistent. And here's the good news about that. When you keep their schedules consistent and their routine consistent, it gives them security. It is like a security blanket for them, that predictability, there's no surprises, they know what's coming next, that makes them feel calm and at ease. Because let's be honest here, they're probably on some level experiencing some higher stress as well, right? Especially if they're picking it up from you and they hear it on TV and all over the place. People are talking about this virus nonstop. They're definitely going to be feeling the effects of that, picking up on your vibrations, right? So if we can keep their little life functioning as close to normal as we possibly can, that's definitely going to give them a greater sense of security, and it'll keep them calmer from having, total meltdowns, which that's what we all want, right? Okay, so we're going to keep our schedule the same. We're going to keep bedtime routines on track and the same as we always were. Do not allow your kids to stay up later than normal. Again, if that's just a one-off here and there, that's okay. But what we know about body clocks is that they function better and optimally when we stick to the same bedtime every night and the same wake-up time every morning. So that's going to be really important to hang on to for your kids. The second thing, I know everybody's doing this, and let's just give ourselves a break around it. You're most likely using screen time more than you'd like. I totally get it. So am I. We've got some rules in our home that the screens go off between noon and 4 during the day, but otherwise our kids are spending a lot of time talking on their phones, playing video games, watching shows, you name it, they're doing it. And I think that's just the nature of the situation, right? Especially if we're home and we're trying to follow the rules by staying home as much as we possibly can, then we got to fill time with something. So let's just give ourselves a break about that. The only little warning that I would put in place around that is really try to keep that screen use away from bedtime. And I would recommend this for yourself as well, that the quality of your sleep will be impacted if you are staring at a phone, a pad, or a screen right up until the time you finally fall asleep. We know that the blue light that emits from any kind of screen device it very much interrupts our melatonin production, and that's going to make it hard for everybody to feel sleepy on time. And not only just feeling sleepy at bedtime, but keeping you asleep through the night. If you don't have high enough melatonin levels, it won't carry you right through. You'll be waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, laying in your bed awake for the next hour. And that has a lot to do with melatonin. So everybody should be turning that phone off or those screens off at least an hour. And I would say for your kiddos, try to do it at least 2 hours before bed so that we can keep melatonin levels consistent. All right, the next thing to try to hang on to is meal times. Again, when schedules fly out the window, then we're kind of like eating crackers all day and we never really prepare a meal for ourselves, and we're like foraging in the fridge every 20 minutes. And, I understand boredom can lead to people munching more often than normal, but hang on as much as you can to those sort of meal and snack time rules that you've had for yourself. If your kids are used to getting their snack at 10 and lunch at 12:30 and another snack at 3 and dinner at 6, try to keep that consistently, because hunger cues actually do play a significant role in sort of our biological body clock. And hungry kids tend to be whiny kids, tend to be grouchy kids. So making sure that even if you have to set a timer for yourself, right, to give yourself a little reminder that, oops, I better get some lunch on the table for these kids, it's definitely going to help kind of keep your day moving in, a smooth order. Now, the next tip is to get our kids as much exercise as possible. Again, for all of us, movement, any kind of movement or exercise definitely increases the quality of our nighttime sleep. So if your little one is used to, going to gym class or gymboree or running around at the park with buddies, and those things aren't happening, especially if they're just kind of sitting and doing a lot more TV watching, we're really going to have to get creative about ways in which we can burn off some of that energy so that they have a good night of sleep. So get creative, build a fort in the house or make a little obstacle course that they have to go through a few times. With my kids, I've been kicking them literally out the door. As part of our daytime rules is you must get 30 minutes of exercise in some fashion, which has been kind of neat because my oldest son picked up skateboarding, which, he has never skateboarded before, but he thought, hey, why not try a new hobby since I have to get out anyway? So, there's always silver linings to the things that are going on, and that's definitely one I've seen in my own life. So, maybe you could even, I saw on Instagram, I think it was somebody propped their bike up on wooden blocks. So it was like a exercise bike that they didn't have to actually go anywhere on. Maybe we could set things like that up for our kids so that they are getting some sort of physical activity. But we do also know that light source, especially sunlight, is also really important to our circadian rhythm or our biological body clock. So, I know we're supposed to stay in as much as possible, but we can still go out and take some walks as long as we're not doing it in crowded areas. So get out and have a little bit of daytime fresh air and sunshine if possible, as much as you can to kind of keep those body clocks rolling. All right. Now, if you've got older kids, and I don't even mean older, I mean like preschool aged kids or even toddlers, remember that their comprehension is much higher than their ability to verbally communicate. So they're actually understanding a lot of the things that are being said. They just can't articulate it back to you. So just keep that in mind. If the TV's on CNN all day long, just constant talk about the virus, or if you're doing it with your spouse or family members, even children as young, I would say by 1, their comprehension level is higher than you would think. To just keep an eye on that kind of conversation. I mean, I'm all for being honest with children. I think we should, as clearly as we can explain what's going on. But we don't need to bombard them with all the adult things that we're worrying about, because it's just going to add to their stress levels. And that, turn off the news when they're around. Try to monitor your conversations as much as you can, so they're just not hearing things that they don't need to hear. They don't have any way to actually deal with the situation. They can't fix it or change it, so they don't really need to know about it. If you've got kids, school-age children who are having some trouble, I'm getting emails from people all over the place saying, my 8-year-old, my 6-year-old is having some anxiety issues and is having a hard time falling asleep at night because she's worried or he's worried. Try some really simple deep breathing exercises. My favorite is just breathing in for the count of 4, holding it for 4, breathing out at the count of 4, and repeating. So just a cycle of 4-count breathing. That's super simple. You can teach your kids. Just have them do that a few times. I love the idea of focusing on 3 positive things before sleep. I think this is a great tip for everybody. And when I get into bed at night, as I'm relaxing and getting ready for sleep to come, I think about 3 things that, sparked some joy in my day, or 3 wins that I had in the day. Just sets a positive tone. It just gets your body kind of in a feel-good place where sleep can come more easily. And that, if there's anxiety or struggle there, making sure that bedtime routine is a good 20 minutes or 30 minutes lead into bed. Perhaps a bath, maybe a little Epsom salt in the bath can help relax your child so that we keep sleep on track. focusing on the good stuff. I mean, I know it's hard when we're just like constantly hearing about all the negatives, but I think for everybody, if we can focus on some of the good things that are coming from being together, I think it can be a little nauseating sometimes about, we're bonding as a family, but really, like some days, like, I don't even want to see my kids anymore. But for the most part, especially with my oldest, right, who's going off to college in the fall, this has been a really special time in a lot of ways because he's home a lot more than he normally is, and we're having family dinners, and we're like picking a movie to watch on once a week for family movie night, and we're going on bike rides in the evening. So that's really nice. And so I'm really trying to pick out these little moments of joy as much as I can to sort of focus on and keep myself sane. Which leads me to my final point, but I believe the most important point, and that's self-care. I think that word is overused and people go, oh, right, self-care, yeah, right? And we kind of poo-poo it. But it really is super important, especially for moms out there who are trying to do everything, right? Now you have to, like, for me, my house cleaner can't come anymore. I know, total first world problem. But like, it's just like more things piled on your plate that you now have to do. Most of us have to now become teachers, right? Or at least dictators who watch over our kids to make sure that they're doing their online work. So we've just been piled on more things have been added to your already full plate. So it is important. It's super important. I love the saying, you cannot pour from an empty cup, which means you cannot give to anyone around you if you are empty, if you aren't replenishing yourself daily. You're going to burn out, and nobody's going to be happy if mama burns out. So what are the little things that you can do? So for me, I'll often ask myself just internally, what would soothe you right now? I prefer that to like self-care, because when I think self-care, I think of like trips to the spa or like actual luxury things that take time more than a few minutes. And I don't have that kind of time right now. So I just ask myself a simple question and I say, what would soothe you right now? And sometimes it's a cup of tea. Sometimes it's a bubble bath. Sometimes it's a few pieces of my favorite red licorice. Sometimes it's sitting down with a book. Sometimes it's doing some painting. So just finding little ways, and I know with little ones this makes it much harder. I totally get it. But once they're in bed, can you spend even 20 minutes doing something that soothes your soul, feeds your soul, even if they're in nap time? I know there's laundry and a million other things that you should be doing, but if you can bump yourself up to the top of that priority list and just do, even for 10 minutes, something that feeds your soul, then that's going to help you get through this. Absolutely. All right. Thanks so much for listening. I hope that helped in some small way. Please stay safe and healthy. And as always, sleep well.
Thanks so much for listening. For more great tips on helping your child sleep through the night, remember to subscribe, rate, and review the show on iTunes or Stitcher, and never miss an episode.